The stage is all you, bro.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for that intro, Rosne. I really appreciate it. And thank you guys for letting me do this, letting me be a part of this community and bring some DeFi philosophy. Like Rosne just mentioned, we do run educational streams every Tuesday, every Thursday, on our Discord. And what I usually end up talking about is really DeFi philosophy. That's really what it is. I call myself a blockchain developer, but that's just one sort of facet of what I do, and it's the facet that I enjoy the least. What I do like is what DeFi means for humanity, what the decentralized world means for humanity. It's projects like this. It's projects with really strong use cases in the real world, with really strong scalability and utility, because what it does is it enhances your life. Everything in your life should enhance your life, right? It should never be a detriment. But we'll get into all of the philosophy and the spirituality and stuff. I'll just expand on me a little bit. Just not expand on me, just expand on that intro. I was born in Sri Lanka. You see the flag up there. And from childhood, I've been pretty much steeped in spirituality and in a Buddhist sort of background. I should make the disclaimer: I am by no means a teacher of Buddhism. That is not what I am. Because that well is so deep, and it would be a disservice for me. Like, people spend their whole lives, and barely scratch the surface. They can dedicate their whole lives to this thing and barely scratch the surface. So, but what I am is a human being, just like you guys, just like all of you in chat today. I'm a kid from Sri Lanka. I moved to the UK in like 2015, and I talk like this, so that's a whole can of worms. Um, what I've been doing recently is I've basically, ever since I got into DeFi, um, it was with, like Rosne said, with the crypto cobras. Our push, our sort of vision is truly, the end zone of Wagmi. We want to give people that sense of assurance when you're moving through the world of DeFi, just like moving through the degen world, the regular world, right? You always want to make sure that you have as much context and as much information as possible whenever you're going to make a decision, whenever you're going to speak a word, think a thought, take an action. You always you want as much time and space within yourself, you know what I mean? To kind of make that decision safely, or try to make that decision as well as you possibly can. And part of that is educating yourself. Part of that is sort of staying engaged in the DeFi community, which I love to see all of you. The many names in the chat today. It's lovely to see all of you here. Um, let's get into Wagmi and into what I want to do. Really, guys, is I want to talk about mindfulness. That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about mindfulness and directed awareness, and I want to kind of dig into how it's applicable to DeFi, because it really is. It really is. I'll talk about mindfulness. Because I want to give you guys something that you can really take away from this conversation and start applying in your daily lives, if that makes sense. I don't want to just sit here and just blab on for like an hour. I want to give you some real nuggets, well, I wouldn't say pearls of wisdom, but just pearls of something, pearls of value, right? So that when you exit this Wagmi session, you will exit this session a much more, a person that is more equipped. That's the person that will be exiting this conversation compared to the person that came in. So let's get right into it. Let's get right into it, guys. Let's talk about mindfulness. Let's talk about what mindfulness is, right? Mindfulness is very basically directed awareness. That's what it is. You can be aware right now of your butt on your seat and the pressure that it's exerting on the seat. You're aware of the weight. You weren't before, but now that I've pointed it out, that's where your mind is, right? Because your awareness had now been directed to an object. An object can be anything. An object can be anything. It can be, usually it's the breath. That's what we normally see happen. But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. This could be a meditation object. It really could. It could be an object for mindfulness. A thought can be an object for mindfulness. A sound can be an object for mindfulness. So there's no limits to this. You're not limited in that you specifically, you have to dedicate an hour of your life and turn off all the lights and sit in a dark room and breathe in, breathe out, and do that whole shebang, right? You don't need to. You can practice meditation while you're driving. You probably shouldn't do that to start with, because that might be a little bit dangerous, but you can practice meditation while you're going about your daily lives, while you're trading. If you're into trading at all, leverage trading, that's something that I do. We leverage trade gold. And boy, it's an emotional roller coaster. It's an emotional roller coaster, guys. Like, sitting there with your phone and you see the blue and you get really happy. The blue means you're in profit, and you get so happy. There's so much, your heart is pounding, but it's a good pounding. And then you see the red numbers, and now your heart is pounding as well, but it's not a good type of pounding. This is a bad type of pounding. But you can mitigate that. You can mitigate that, because at the end of the day, when your hands are shaky and you're like, oh my god, I'm losing money, oh my god, what am I gonna do? You're not as decisive. You're not as mentally strong and stable as you could be, right? Mindfulness brings that. It's not just leverage trading, right? Think about NFT projects, just getting into them in general. If you're gonna part with your money in the hopes that it's gonna grow, you want to make that decision in as stable a mind frame as possible, like I said before. So it is applicable. It is applicable to the DeFi world, in those two sort of aspects, which ties into the idea of, like Rosne said before, some of you guys might be at the very beginning of your DeFi journey. If you've gotten into this with the mindset of when Bitcoin conference, when am I gonna, be driving around in that Maserati or McLaren or whatever. Some of you guys, if that is the goal, I know that's not the goal for everybody. Some of y'all might be at the end points of that process, right? Some of you guys might be sitting on a really nice bag right now. Some of y'all might be midway through it. You're getting to that point. And some of y'all have just entered for the very first time. But the value of mindfulness in DeFi is pretty much uniform across the board, right? You're not going to see the same, well, you are going to see the same results. It's uniform across the board, guys. So let's talk about this whole idea of an end zone as well. Let's talk about the idea of like an end goal, because people get into things for reasons, and usually those reasons end up sabotaging us, because humans are by virtue of the way that we operate, right? We are constantly evolving, constantly changing. A human being is never a stagnant unit. It's always going to be, a human is always going to be growing. We exist dependent on conditions. And I don't mean the physical bodies that I'm not talking about this thing that you see. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what's operating up here, right? I'm talking about the way that you feel, which influences the way that you act, which influences the way that the world reacts to you, right? That is dependent on conditions. And just like a market, you want minimal, like you want predictability, right? To a degree, you want predictability. You want to kind of be a little bit in control, but then that starts to sabotage you too, down the line. So I would say the first sort of thing to do, because everything is a process, and the first stage of the process is to acknowledge that you are in the first stage of the process, and to acknowledge that there is a process. That's the main thing, because there is an end goal, and it is a journey, that we all have entered. We've entered this stream of basically, it's kind of like that old movie. I don't know if you guys remember Disney's. Well, I say old. I'm really showing my uh, my limited years on this planet. That dinosaur, the Disney movie called Dinosaur. There was what was it? An iguanodon called Aladar. I think his name was Aladar. And there's a scene where they go through this river. Essentially, it's an exodus, right? They're leaving this land that is just parched, and it can't. There's no life. There's no plants for the vegetable eating dinosaurs to eat. Thereby, they die out. There's no dinosaurs for the dinosaur eating dinosaurs to eat. So they do this exodus. They go down this long journey, really hard, really arduous journey. So many trials and tribulations. They almost lose their lives. They're in constant danger. And then they go through this river, right? And as they're going through this river, the whole time in their heads, they have this end goal of a paradise that exists, in their imagination. It's green, it's lush. There's water, free-flowing water, and just abundance. It's excess and it's abundance. It is the Lambo, effectively. It's the Lambo. It's the end goal. It's the picture you have of picking up your phone, going onto your accounts or whatever, go open up your crypto.com and look at what you're staking. It's picturing yourself pulling your wallet out, and it's not the blue card, it's the obsidian card. That end goal, right, was the same thing that the dinosaurs had. And they come in and it opens up, and let me ask you a question. What if the abundance was not there? What if you open that door and it's just more of the same? What if you open that door and it's worse? Imagine that. Imagine that. Imagine how terrible you would feel. That would really suck. That would really suck, wouldn't it? And why? Why would it suck? Now we get into the real questions. This is the mindset that really takes you far. It's questioning. It's always wondering why. Why is this person saying this? Why do I feel this way in response to it? Right? The reason you would feel like absolute garbage if you chase something for your whole lifetime and then it turns out to be not what you expected or not what you wanted. Why do you suffer? It's because you wanted it. It's because you were attached to the outcome. So it sounds big. I'm not saying you guys should forget about the Lambo. You can certainly work towards a goal. But it's a subtle difference, guys, but it is a difference that makes a world of difference. To how, not even the level of work you put into something or what you get out of something, but how you feel while you're doing it, right? I don't know about you guys, but recently, right, this has been a thing with me where I work a lot. I work really hard. Z is in chat. He knows this. He's on the Crypto Cobras with me, an integral part of the Crypto Cobras. We are constantly, all the time, on the phone with each other, with other people, resolving issues. We're either trading or we're putting things on YouTube, making sure that the social media presence is good, is there. We're doing distributions, token allocations, and it's not just Crypto Cobras, there's other projects on top of that. And by the end of, like, if you start, let's say I start my day at 8 a.m. With gold trading, I end my day at about 4 a.m., right? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But throughout all of that, I make it a point of pride with myself, to always hold myself to the very highest standards in terms of every thought, every word, every action that comes out of me. And that sounds like a lot of pressure. That sounds like a whole bunch of pressure. And honestly, if I didn't have this secret sauce, which is mindfulness, I would be a broken man. It wouldn't be this cool dude with the sunglasses chilling with the plants and all of this. That's not what you would see. You would see a shaking, quivering mess of a man, right? But mindfulness has helped me. Mindfulness has helped me because when I'm in a trade in the morning, let's break the day down. Let's break the day down, right? 8 a.m. I start a trade. I see that I'm in loss. Ordinarily, I would panic. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a superhuman. I'm not some crazy like a switch turned on because I meditated one time or read a book and now feelings don't happen to me. I'm a human being, right? Like I'm very far from perfect. So these emotions, these feelings, they pop up in me. They really do. Boy, do they. They really, really do. I live my emotions, man. So when I see the red numbers on the screen, I'm panicking. I am crapping my pants. I'm sitting there like, oh God, oh my God, what's gonna happen? Like I'm gonna lose everything and I'm gonna end up on the streets or something. Like, cause your mind, it runs, right? But what do? I do what's in my control. I do what's in my control. The numbers are not in my control. Well, I mean, yeah, no, that's a whole thing. But the numbers are not in my control at all, right? What is in my control is my response to those numbers. The reason that I feel bad when the numbers are red is because I want the numbers to be blue. If I'm in a short, the reason I get sad when the numbers are going up is because I want them to go down because I'm trying to sell, right? It's the want. It's the want, guys. That is the crux of human suffering. If you can get rid of that want, which sounds like a tall order, it sounds like a tall order because it sounds like I'm asking you to just be like, oh, nothing matters, I don't care. And that doesn't work in the real world because people have jobs, people have bills to pay, especially in the world right now. You see how high energy bills are skyrocketing and stuff like that. If you're in Sri Lanka, situation's crazy. Around the world, the situation is crazy. So people need to move through this world. You know, people need to do their jobs, get to their 9 to 5s, get through the day. People need to party and go out and just live life. It doesn't mean you gotta be this boring person. That's not what letting go of attachment means. You can let go of attachment and still be happy. You can be happier. You can be happier. You can do the same things. You might not want to anymore, but that's a personal thing. That's up to you. That's up to you. But it makes a world of a difference. To be honest, completely letting go of attachment, that's, like I said, huge well that people spend their lifetimes doing and barely scratch the surface. I am not even a beginner in that regard. I will put that out there. But what I can say is even acknowledging, even seeing that this thing exists, that this is a aspect, that is an aspect of how we operate as humans that is in our control. As soon as you see that, that's step one. That's step one. The first step in any process is seeing that there is a first step and taking that first step, isn't it? So when you see the attachment, that's the first step because people, we respect ourselves. We're not idiots. No one in this room thinks that they're an idiot, right? We might think other people are idiots, but we certainly don't think that we're idiots. So once we see that attachment within ourselves, what I have found in my experience and from conversations I've had with people, what I've seen is that that's pretty much all it takes. Just see that you want a specific outcome and let go of it. Or, well, don't let go of it. Just see it. Just see it. And your brain most likely will be like, come on, man, what are you doing? Type thing. You know, your brain's gonna be like, bro, you're better than this. Like, sis, you're better than that. Don't do that. You know? Your brain will do it. Your brain will do it. And if it doesn't, that's also a good thing. That's also a good thing because that means that you have moved closer towards what works for you. Because at the end of the day, Wagmi means something different to every person in this room. My Wagmi is not the same as your Wagmi. My yay is different to your yay, right? Wagmi is not. Wagmi is the end goal, which is not the same because people are not exactly the same. People differ. People, like I said, we're conditional beings, and the conditions for each person vastly different, right? So, let go of the want. And how do we do that? Mindfulness. We treat mindfulness like a gym. You want to get stronger. I play basketball. So for me, like something that I'm working on now is I want to be able to increase my elevation. Just how high? I just want to jump higher, right? I want to jump higher. But I can't do that by just willing myself to jump higher. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. No matter how bad I want it, no matter how powerful the urge to get this to will yourself up closer to the rim, it doesn't matter. What matters is doing the exercises, going on Google and typing how to dunk exercises and watching YouTube videos and figuring out a workout plan and then doing it and then sticking to it, right? That is how you build. If you want to build your body into something like a beautiful marble sculpture of just aesthetic perfection, how do you do it? You don't do it by thinking, oh, wouldn't it be nice if I had a really nice body? Like, that would be so cool. And then you just, you go make a cup of coffee, you chill out, forget about it, right? That's not how you do it. You do it by getting a gym membership. You do it by going to the gym. You do it by picking up that dumbbell, doing that a bunch of times, right? And then you go home. And then you come back tomorrow, you do it again. And then you do it again. And then you do it again. And again and again and again and again. And then down the line, you reach where you want to go. Meditation is to mindfulness. And you could extrapolate it and say meditation is to life what the gym is to physical fitness, what a university is to education, or what reading or learning about things is to education. It's a slow process, and it can seem quite boring and quite, well, not boring. It's not something that, because the world today, everything is like 5, 6, 7 second entertainment serotonin hits. This is what humans are now, right? We just all day long just that, and it's just I'm an astronaut in the ocean, that plays a bunch of times, and these songs play on loop over and over again. Quick serotonin hits, quick gratification, quick little, we're hammering ourselves every single day with this chaos. So mindfulness, meditation, slowing things down, sitting down, well, to start with, sitting down in a room and just watching an object, watching your mind, doing it, it can suck, If you spent like 3 years just sedentary, not moving, your muscles are gonna atrophy. It happens, it's natural. The capacity for your motion, for strength, it all deteriorates when you don't use it. And the mind, exactly the same, guys. The human mind, when it is honed and sharpened and tempered, it can be one of the most incredible things. You see a Kobe Bryant, take Kobe Bryant as an example. This man was the epitome of human discipline. He was in the gym sweating while his teammates come into the gym. This is an anecdote. While his teammates were coming into the gym to start their morning workout, he was sweating. He had already finished a workout, and then he joins their workout, right? And he talked about this in an interview. What he said was, I just did basic math. You put in something, you get something out, right? It's the universe. It's basic physics, guys. Energy. You can't create it, you can't destroy it, you can, you transfer it. It doesn't go anywhere. You put something somewhere, equal and opposite reaction, right? That's literally why, like, this isn't going through my hand, because when I do this is exerting the same force back, right? It's the same with the universe. It's the same with DeFi. It's the same with mindfulness. You need to put in the effort and follow the stages in the process. But like I was saying, the human mind it can be something so incredible when it's tempered and sharpened by mindfulness. But then doubly, or by the same, in the same sort of thought bubble, I suppose. You could say with a degree of confidence that not sharpening that human mind is probably the biggest waste, the single biggest waste of anything that you will ever do in your lifetime. I'll say that. I'll say that with confidence because it truly is such a shame. Even it's not about, like I said, conditions, right? Conditions do make a difference, but imagine your car, the tires on your car they're not made of industrial grade rubber, right? They are made of cardboard. They're made of styrofoam, right? Let's say that. I don't know about y'all, but I wouldn't get in that car. I probably wouldn't drive that car. I wouldn't get very far, to be honest, if it's styrofoam wheels. But it's a futile effort from the get-go. But the beauty is you can switch out the tires. Which brings us to the true question about this Wagmi session. The real crux of all of this stuff. The question is, how? How do we do this? Awesome, Dharma. You've told us that, the mind can be sharpened. The mind can be, you can not feel bad when you're looking at losses, and you can, make better decisions in life. But how? How? What is it? How does it work? Directed awareness. Directed awareness. We take an object. This is what we do. This is very important. So if you want to write down some notes or something, feel free. Take an object. Any object, right? Give yourself some peace. Give yourself some time if you can. Especially just in the beginning stages, because trust me guys, it's like anything. You practice, you get better. So in the beginning, we take it very basic, right? Try to find a room where you're not going to be disturbed. No one is going to walk into the room or knock on the door or anything like that. If it's quiet, cool. Sit down to start with. Just try to keep your spine straight, because that does help. I found that really helps, because when you're slouching, what it does is it kind of sabotages you, because if your spine is kind of like straight, there's so much more stability, right? Where you can just like sit this way for hours even, and it doesn't feel like hours. But as soon as you start slouching, or you sit like this, your spine is there's pressure, right? And it starts to, you start to feel the time, and you start to slip, and you start to go down, and you need to readjust. Every time you readjust, that's an interruption to your practice. That's an interruption to this practice. So take an object, and to start with, let's make it, two of the easiest ones for me are, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really like doing the breath. I don't really like the whole breath thing. But I found that it works for a lot of people. What I like is auditory objects. That's something I like. I will take the sound of my breathing. So I suppose it is kind of like the breath. The sound of my breathing, because it's so quiet, usually. Breathing, you're barely ever aware of it, right? And not a lot of us breathe like, so it's not like a constant object that you have to tune out all the time. So I will take the breath, the sound of the breath, and what I'll do is I will close my eyes, right? So if you guys want to try this with me, feel free. This isn't like I'll close things off. That's the plan. I wanted to close things off with a little meditation session, but we can make it this. We can make it this. Why not? Follow along if you want to, guys. I'm sitting straight. I'm sitting straight. My spine is straight. I've closed my eyes. You can't see it because of the glasses, but my eyes are closed, trust me. And right now, I can hear my voice. You guys can hear my voice. That's a sound object. I'm focusing my attention on that sound. and I'm just watching it. I'm just watching it. I'm not thinking. I'm not attaching any ideas to that sound. It's just sound. It's just a sound. That's all it is. Just a sound. There's no Dharma. There's no Club Nirvana. There's no crypto cobras. There are no ideas or thoughts or anything attached to this object. It's just the object on its own. Now, as soon as I said Dharma, Club Nirvana, crypto cobras, your mind might have wondered. Your mind probably jumped away from the sound. You probably thought about something. You probably, as soon as you sat down, your mind probably went, okay, let's do this, or something like that, right? Or like, okay, shit, okay, object. How do I think about an object? What do I focus on? Or your brain might have been like, oh, this guy said focus on the breath, and now he's talking. Like, what does that mean? Should I focus on the breath? Should I do my breath? Should I do the voice? What do I do? That's all noise. That is all noise. That is the emotional reaction, the nonsense that makes you feel like shit whenever things don't go your way. That is what that is. Meditation, I'm going to show you what that is now. I'm going to show you what directed awareness is. We're sitting there. Distraction pops up, right? You're focusing on the sound of your breathing, and all of a sudden, boom. Did I leave the kettle on? No one really thinks, did I leave the kettle on? I don't know why that's an example. Did I text my friend back? Right? Or, oh shit, I meant to type that thing up. Did I send it? Did I actually do it? Oh crap, did I, something pops into the head. An idea pops into the head. When the idea pops in, what's gonna happen is you're not gonna be aware of it initially, because it's you that kind of got distracted, right? So it takes a while. Your mind is gonna run through that train of thought, and it's gonna have its fun with it. Because the mind loves entertaining things. It loves daydreaming. It loves extrapolating and creating all these stories and all these images and stuff, right? But what'll happen is you'll be like the horse with the blinders, right? You'll be in this distraction, but then at a certain point you hear the record stop. The record skids and it stops, and then boom, you're like, oh no. Oh crap, I got distracted. Oh boy, that's not good. You realize. Now at this point, this is the most important part, in my opinion, of this directed awareness thing. As soon as you see that distraction, your reaction to it is so critical. Because a lot of people, when they first start, they get angry at themselves. They feel like they've let themselves down. They feel like, oh, my mind, crap, my mind got distracted. What have I done? No, that's not good. It is good. If you get distracted, give yourself a pat on the back from me, direct, Crypto Cobra's approved pat on the back for you, because what you've done is you've made yourself aware of the problem. You've taken the first step, right? First step in the process. You see that you've been distracted. And now, don't get angry at yourself, because that's the mind tricking you. Because anger is a passionate, powerful emotion. And the mind loves to, entertain anger. The mind loves it. It's like lust. It's so it just takes you over, right? And so it's very easy to fall into that. Very easy to fall into anger. Don't fall into self-anger, even if it's small. Don't go, I shouldn't have done that. Just see, right? That's very important. So remember, don't get angry at yourself. What you should do instead of I made a mistake, see that you have been distracted and bring your mind back to the object, right? Distraction happens. You're focusing on the sound of your breathing. You're focusing for, let's say you managed to get it going for 20 seconds. You managed to do a solid 20 seconds of nothing in your head except for the sound of your breathing. You go through it, but then at the 20-second mark, what's going to happen is the sound of your breathing is going to remind you of something, right? It's going to remind you of, let's say there's a booger in your nose and you hear a little whistle. you're gonna be like, oh crap, I hear a booger. That's not. Oh no, and then your mind is gonna go all. Your mind is gonna go. It's gonna go haywire, right? It happens. It happens. The mind needs no license for distraction. It needs no excuse. It wants to. It reverts to that distracted, like, you know. It always does it. It's like the instinctive reaction. But what do? We have higher thought. We're not I mean, we are animals biologically, but we're not. We have higher thought. We're sentient. We're intelligent, right? To a degree. we're pretty intelligent beings. So we don't have to just give in to every impulse. We don't on a daily basis. If we did, the world would be. People would probably be way less stressed out, but the world would be so chaotic. The world would be so chaotic. Let's say if you live in London, like you're on the subway, right? The tube. Sorry, you're on the tube, and you see somebody and you don't like the cut of this fella's jib, so you walk up to him and you just slap him in the face. You pull a Will Smith, you just slap him in the face, right? And then you just sit down. Imagine if everyone in the world just followed through on all their impulses all the time. That would be absolutely insane. We don't do that. We hold ourselves to that standard in the physical world, right? Why do we not hold ourselves to that standard, that same standard internally? We really should. We really should. The reason we don't is because it's difficult. You already are not holding back on from acting on your impulses. Is very basically, if you break it down and look at it through this lens, you can say that it is you not doing what you want to do. It is you not getting what you want. And nothing pisses off a mammal more than not getting what you want. This is why chimpanzees rip people's faces off, because the monkey in the next cage got a birthday cake and I didn't. Me? Why not me? Am I not important enough? And then they go crazy. But we're better than that. We're better than that. I would like to think that we're a little bit better than that. So don't allow your mind to act like a crazy monkey. Don't. Because you're not a crazy monkey. You're not. You're a human being. You're a DeFi person. You're a person in DeFi. You're a centered, cool. I'm assuming if you were attracted by this project, Club Nirvana, there's some kind of spiritual pull to you. You are attuned a little bit, to something. So don't do yourself that disservice. Don't ever do yourself that disservice. Do it as an act of love and compassion towards yourself. Hold yourself to a higher standard. Hold your mind to a higher standard. When the distraction comes, do not engage in anger. Do not engage in blame. Do not engage in anything that is attractive to your mind. If your mind wants to, don't do it. You have set yourself a mind object. Revert your attention back to the mind object. It is as simple as that. It is as simple as that. It is like driving and your eyes are on the road constantly. You know that feeling when you go through a long drive where you get to work and you do not remember a single moment of the drive to work. It was just automatic. And you think like, that doesn't make any sense because I wasn't on autopilot. Like I went through junctions and I stopped in traffic and like all of that. Like it makes sense. But in your head, that journey just doesn't exist. Why? It's because you were focused on that object the whole time. You were focused on that object, right? Now let's say during that laser sort of focus, your eyes veer off. Let's say you see a billboard, or you see a girl, or you see a man, you see something that the mind it finds attractive. It finds like something flashy, like a McDonald's sign, or just something. It could be anything. It could be a dog. It could be a dog. Let's go with dog. That's a wholesome example, right? So there's a dog on the side of the road, and you go, oh, puppy. But if your hand's on the wheel and you go, oh, puppy, and you're here, you're still in puppy, you're gonna crash into the guy in front of you, dude. You're gonna crash and it's not gonna be pretty. You have to back on the road, right? Back on the road. You can't engage with the puppy. Even though the puppy is cute as hell, and you love that puppy, and you want more than anything, you just want to get out of the car and go pet that puppy, you can't, because dangerous. You have got to, same thing. The danger of compressing your body into a little pancake in a car accident, it's the same danger that your mind is in. If anything, you're in slightly more danger. I mean, this is, a car accident can lead to like immediate death, but unmindfulness, an unchecked mindset, can lead to a slow death, a death of potential, a death of sharpness, a death of this beautiful sort of reservoir of tranquility and wholesomeness, and also power that you can tap into and you can use to elevate your life. It's rocket fuel. It is rocket fuel. But you're not allowing yourself to do it. Every time that you stay engaged with that puppy, every time that your hands are, you can be sitting in meditation, right? Your hands are on the wheel in the same way you're sitting, your eyes are closed, right? But if you're not focused on the object, it doesn't make a difference. If you're looking at the puppy, or if your direction, your awareness is directed incorrectly, it leads to detriment. This thing, bringing the awareness back, that is what meditation is. That is what meditation is. Now I did say that I wanted to kind of, initially the plan was I wanted to talk for like 20 minutes or 40 minutes or something, but I see that we've come down to the end of the 40 minutes now. I do apologize if that was tangential in any way. I did try to, generally with the educational streams that I do, I just sit there and I open up, I have a list of news articles and I just wing it. I'm not gonna lie to you, I did write some notes down for what to talk about. I'm looking at them now. It says Intro to Cobras. What is mindfulness? Why is it useful? But I feel like we've talked about a lot of really, really great stuff. I don't know if these notes are really all that helpful, to be honest. We've covered what attachment is and how it works to our detriment. We've talked about the problem. We've identified the problem. And we've talked about the solution. We've identified the solution as well. The one thing that I did want to do that I didn't is give you guys, well, like I said, I would give you some helpful tips and, things you can take away from this sort of discussion, this session, I guess. What I will say is, now you have the sauce. Now you have the ingredients. No one starts out, no one's born a baker, no one is born a cook. What do? You find a recipe and you follow it. Right now you have the very, very basic framework of how to put your mind in a gym. Take an object, look at it for a little bit, wait until your mind wanders, and then bring it back to the object. That is effectively a practice that strengthens your mind. Object could be anything, like I said, but try to, after this session, find some time. Today would be good because the energy is still there. You've been plugged into the Wagmi session, so the energy will continue for a little bit. So use that energy to, because I'm sure everyone's feeling really nice right now because we've had a nice conversation. Sit down in a chair, sit comfortably, spine straight, and choose an object. Just choose any object. Or read a book, man. Reading a book is meditation too. Because your mind does wander sometimes and you have to oh no, that's not where I was. Wait, that doesn't make sense. Let me go back to that line. Right? That happens to me all the time. Where I'm reading, and I think I'm engaged in the story, but then at one point I'm like, wait, what? Because my mind was thinking about things while I was reading and I have to go back a couple of lines. Or sometimes a couple of pages. Choose any object, practice that process, and I promise you, you will be closer to your goal by virtue of the fact that you are now better at getting to your goal. You will be closer to true Wagmi. But yes, I think that is a lot of pretty useful information. I did want to do a breathing meditation session, but like I said, I'm not a teacher by any means. and I don't really like breath meditation, you know. But we did that sound thing. That was fun. I think what I will do is we'll close it off here tonight, and I will leave you guys wanting more. Next time, the next Wagmi session, whenever Rasne and the whole amazing team here at Club Nirvana. If you guys would like to see me back, I would be more than happy to continue sessions like this. And if you guys are fresh to DeFi, or even if you're not fresh to DeFi, check out the Crypto Cobras, because it's a bunch of really, really cool people. We do care about educating the masses, basically, because DeFi is such a beautiful thing. You guys know this. If you're plugged into this community, you know how beautiful DeFi can be. But it also has a really bad rap, and it's because people just don't know. The emptiest bucket makes the loudest noise, right? The emptiest vessel sort of makes the loudest noise. If it's full of water, you're not going to hear a peep. So bad characters like the scammers and all of these people, they are what make headlines and inform people's opinions. So people think that DeFi is a scary world, scary thing. It's really not. It's really not. There's so much to it. There's layers to it. It's a beautiful thing. So if that's the aspect, come join one of our educational streams and you'll learn about it. If you want to make money, we have access to some of the best pre-sales in the game. Come through, we got you. If your plan is to just continue the process and meet some interesting people and see just where your life takes you, you know? Because the universe is such an amazing thing. And where you are right now is not the end zone. So if you just want to see where things go, join up the Crypto Cobras. I have been Dharma. On the crypto scene, I'm BKLYM the God. That's my title. Not very spiritual, I know, but you know, it is what it is. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for taking the effort to be here. Thank you for being engaged and for listening to me ramble on for close to an hour.